Today, I want to start with a story that not just one, but millions of people around the world are living right now. It's the story of someone, a person full of hope and determination, who bravely decided to try intermittent fasting. They skipped breakfast, they courageously fought through the hunger. They sat at work with an empty stomach, with only one thought in their mind. The magic is about to happen. They had unwavering faith that this was the door to a new life, a leaner body, and a better version of themselves. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. They were persistent, disciplined, never once breaking the rules. But then, when they stepped on the scale, a chilling feeling washed over them. The number barely budged, or even worse, it crept up a little. A deep frustration set in, and a haunting question echoed in their mind. What am I doing wrong? Isn't fasting supposed to be the magical secret to weight loss? What's truly surprising, though, is that you meet other people who also start this journey. In just a few short months, they look completely transformed. Their faces are radiant, their clothes are loose, their energy is back, and they swear that fasting was the miracle that saved their life. So why, with the exact same method, does it feel like a miracle cure for one person, but an endless torment for another? The answer isn't about willpower. It's not about who is stronger or who has more discipline. The real secret, hidden deep within every cell of your body, is something very few people talk about: insulin resistance. The locked door and the painful truth. To make this easy to understand, imagine fasting as like having a powerful universal key. This key can open a secret door, leading you to a world where fat is burned, the body is healed, and longevity is enhanced. But if that door is jammed shut by insulin resistance, no matter how hard you push, twist, or turn the key, it simply won't budge. You have the key, you know how to use it, but it's completely useless. That's why millions of people fast and nothing seems to change. Their body is locked in a metabolic prison, unable to access the massive energy reserves that fasting is supposed to unlock. So, what exactly is insulin resistance? Think of insulin as a traffic manager in your body. Every time you eat, especially foods with sugar and refined carbs, the sugar glucose in your blood rises. At that moment, insulin is released from your pancreas to signal your cells. Hey, fuel is here. Use it and store some for later. In a healthy system, this process is smooth and rhythmic. Insulin rises, cells get their energy, and then insulin levels fall again. And here's the most crucial moment. When insulin is low, the door to fat stores opens and your body can switch to burning fat for fuel. But in our modern world, filled with constant snacking, sugary sodas, refined grains, late-night eating, and chronic stress, insulin is asked to be present all the time. Over and over, your cells are bombarded by insulin signal until they become numb and stop listening. This is insulin resistance. The key is still being turned, but the lock is jammed. The fuel can't get into the cells efficiently. In response, your body produces even more insulin, hoping to force the door open. This creates a vicious cycle where high insulin becomes the norm. And here is the defining detail. When insulin is high, fat burning is turned off. Your body is essentially stuck in storage mode. It doesn't matter if you're eating less, fasting, or exercising. If insulin remains high and your cells are resistant to its signal, the fat stored in your body is completely and utterly off limits. Imagine you have a house with a pantry full of food, but the door is bolted shut. You're starving, you're exhausted, but you can't access that valuable energy source. This is exactly what happens when insulin resistance takes hold. The truth behind the failure. Many people feel completely exhausted and helpless with fasting. They might fast for 12, 16, or even 24 hours, and yet their body refuses to dip into its fat stores. They feel fatigued, irritable, and sometimes dizzy. The scale barely moves. They believe that fasting isn't right for them, that maybe their metabolism is broken. But the truth is, it wasn't the fasting that failed. It was the insulin resistance, the silent enemy that hadn't been addressed. Fasting without first fixing insulin resistance is like trying to press the gas pedal on a car with a broken engine. You get frustration, a lot of noise, and a complete waste of effort. But once the engine is repaired, that same effort suddenly produces smooth and powerful results. And here's the unexpected twist. Insulin resistance is silent. You can't feel it directly. You can't hear your insulin levels rising or falling. What you notice are the consequences. Stubborn weight gain, persistent fatigue, difficulty fasting, constant cravings, and very little progress despite all your best efforts. Without understanding the role of insulin, it's easy to believe that fasting is a futile exercise. The way forward, breaking down the wall that's holding you back. The good news is insulin resistance is not a life sentence. Just as the body learned to resist, it can also relearn to be sensitive. This isn't a secret, it's a scientifically proven process, and I call it the 4 pillars of freedom. Pillar 1, fixing the fuel diet. Every bite of food you put into your body sends a signal. That signal either makes insulin's job easier or harder. If you want fasting to work, you have to stop sending the message that keeps insulin high. It's not about eating less, it's about eating differently. Eliminate the villains. Refined carbs, white bread, pasta, pastries, sugar in sodas, sauces, candies, and inflammatory seed oils, soybean, canola, corn. These create a huge amount of static, forcing insulin to shout to be heard by the cells. Choose the allies: leafy greens, colorful plants, healthy fats, avocado, olive oil, nuts, and clean protein, grass-fed beef, wild-caught fish. These foods are like a clear channel with no interference, allowing insulin's signal to come through loud and clear. They stabilize blood sugar, reduce cravings, and keep insulin low. Pillar 2, waking up the sponges movement. Your muscles are one of your greatest allies in this fight. They act like giant sponges, capable of soaking up sugar from your bloodstream and reducing the demand for insulin. The more you use them, the thirstier they become. Strength training, lifting weights, using resistance bands, or even bodyweight exercises. This not only makes muscles stronger, but also increases their need for glucose, causing them to automatically pull sugar from the blood without needing as much insulin. Walks after meals. A short walk of 10 to 15 minutes after eating is like wringing out the sponge. Your muscles immediately pull in glucose, blunting the rise in blood sugar and preventing a large insulin spike. Pillar 3, recharging the power source, sleep. Sleep is not wasted time. It's one of the most powerful tools for metabolic health. Just one night of poor sleep can increase insulin resistance the following day. Lack of sleep equals stress. When you're sleep deprived, your body reacts as if it's under stress, releasing cortisol. Cortisol directly interferes with insulin, keeping you in storage mode. Quality sleep equals repair. In contrast, restorative sleep lowers stress hormones, resets appetite signals, and allows insulin to function more effectively. Pillar 4, reducing the static of stress management. Chronic stress is another silent enemy. The constant elevation of cortisol due to stress directly interferes with insulin sensitivity. Stress equals a leaking faucet. It's like trying to pour water onto a sponge that's already saturated. The water just spills out without being absorbed. Lower stress equals effective absorption. Whether through meditation, deep breathing, prayer, or simply spending time in nature, lowering your stress creates the hormonal environment where insulin can finally do its job. The Great Transformation. When you combine fasting with these 4 pillars, the effects multiply exponentially. Fasting naturally lowers insulin by reducing food intake, while healthy habits actively clear glucose from the bloodstream and increase muscle demand. We're not only clearing the drain, but also turning off the tap at the same time. This is when the real transformation happens. Fasting is no longer a battle of willpower. It becomes a natural rhythm that your body adapts to. Blood sugar stabilizes, cravings vanish, and the fat that once felt impossible to lose is finally released. Imagine a life like this. You wake up not ravenous, but steady and alert. You're not watching the clock until your next meal. You step on the scale and watch the number consistently go down. Your energy rises and your body shifts into healing mode. Fasting no longer feels like a punishment. It feels like freedom. So the question isn't whether fasting works. It absolutely does. The real question is whether your body is ready to let it work. If you've been fasting and not seeing results, it's time to ask if insulin resistance is holding you back. Because once you address that, fasting can finally unfold the way it was designed to, unlocking fat loss, boosting your energy, and extending your health span.